that's some of the kinds of things we're up against. You'll see that also in the kitchen, in the restrooms here, in the classrooms. We did not run the domestic hot water. If the children need the hot water in the classrooms or restrooms, then they're going to the gang bathroom to get that now. It used to be in there, but the cost was prohibitive to go ahead and add that in at the time. You'll see floor tile in this building that are very interesting. We've got different patch places there where there's 4 different colors. There are a lot of the 9x9s, which are assumed to be asbestos containing, which need to be addressed at some point. They're okay as long as they're down, they're sealed, they're waxed, and all that kind of stuff. But if they do break up and become friable, that's when you have potential exposure to the asbestos. You'll see that we have a couple of spaces in the west end that we blocked off in that entryway down there, and they were used for some special education from time to time. They're used sometimes for speech and hearing people that come in and so on, and those are just built into what was. Run, surface mount and exposed in the hallways, as opposed into the pipe chases and places where it should be. Like I said, the original building was built with the heat in the floors and so on, the piping. You can see these 9x9 tile. We've got some that are beginning to crack in places, though the guys do a great job in the summer and put a lot of wax on it to keep things in place. We got about 4 different colors right in this area, for example. This is the secretary's office, so as far as security, this is the best situation we have in any of the 4 buildings. All right, let's walk down and you can see the exposed piping. As they are, but we're getting by. So visit there if you will, and then you can come on back around this way. Our boiler room is directly west of the kitchen here, and the piping for the heating system went through under the floor, and it has leaked. You'll see the discoloration and the damage that's been done to some of these tile. That was from underneath. Okay, and we brought in different ones to help us identify where the leak was and try to find that and so on, because this is some pipe jungle, I guess, at times. All right, we're going to go ahead and run down the hall. I'm very concerned about, and having been assistant superintendent on the business end of things for 20 plus years now, is I know as taxpayers that you all want to ensure that we're using our money the best way we can. Let me just tell you a little bit about this room. The tables that you see here are tables which were in our high school, old science tables. And they all had the black tops, but they were over the years, they were carved in and they were falling apart and so on. Our maintenance department, along with the crew from Florence Crane and so on, when we had them refinish all these tables, we went to plastic tops in cold water that had this laminate and so on, and bought it for a dime on the dollar, and they went through, and that's why they're multicolored. But all of our guys resurfaced them so that they were able to be used. So we're trying to do the best we can. A new table like that would cost you probably $250. And so I know that sounds steep. The reason we came in this room is, again, we're talking about the technology that's necessary for a 21st century education. That end wall and that end wall each had a duplex outlet on it when we put these in. Now we've run additional wiring and so on, but again, wire management is an issue. We've run Raceway, you can see, and it looks good, there's no doubt, it looks pretty good, but that goes through all the way in each of the classrooms and so on. There are some exposed cables, and if you get a chance to step forward, you can buy tables that have wire management tunnels or channels on the back of them. That's not the case here. We're using wire wrap, but as you can see, it's a real jungle of wire back here. So if you want to step forward here before you step out, and then I'd be glad to answer any questions about this building before we move on. I'm just trying to keep things moving because we're an hour into the tour and I only planned about 2. So, any questions at this point?
Do the kids print some of their work in here? Is there a printer that they share?
It's a shared printer, yes.
Okay.
Everything is networked, and the printer is right back here on this side.
Okay.
And so that's how they do that.
You may have noticed at Chicago Street School when we stepped in that lab, it was cooler. That is air conditioned because there's no outside windows. We have outside windows here, but if you know what monitors do, this room quickly heats up. In fact, in the wintertime, it's very comfortable to be in this room. But during these warm months, it's like, that's why Sandy has multiple fans in here. And we turn the monitors off as soon as we can.
This is not a lot of square footage for 28 computers, and I think there were 32 in the middle school, and it might have even been a smaller square footage.
You done video, Mark? Here, again, we've got the parking lot situation. You can sort of see what we're up against as far as working. If you look across in the cracks that are here and so on, and one of these days is going to need to be replaced and upgraded. We have a sidewalk here. The children that walk along here. It's also right alongside and parallel to the driveway. And with the Head Start building out there, we have parents parking there and children crossing and so on. This is just a real congested area. And like I said, post-Columbine, you can't believe the increase in the number of parents that are bringing their children to school every day and picking them up at the end of the day and so on. And so it's very congested. Now, the good news is our bus drive is out there beyond the fence and so on. So the kids that ride the buses are dropped off out there, and they go from the other end of the building out to the buses, so they're not in this traffic congestion. But the children that are picked up and dropped off by parents, that's still a very much a safety issue out here. And that would all be addressed if we were to build a new building. Here in this building, we talked about the parking lot and the traffic flow, the playground equipment. Over here you can see some of the plastic recycled things and so on that Head Start's been able to put out. You won't see Bronson Schools has that. That's the Head Start from Branch Intermediate. Down here, our stuff on the side, again, we talked about the age of the equipment and trying to maintain it, keep it painted and so on, and the fall zones and all that kind of thing. If you want to take a walk around there, we can do that later. As an example, I know people are saying, well, use your money wisely and keep things up, and we've attempted to do that. For example, on the west end here, you'll see this is a new set of doors. Those were wooden entry doors with glass panels in them, and they had been refinished and so on so many times, and with the exposure to the weather and everything, they began delaminating and all that kind of stuff, and we just could not keep them anymore. And so, it made most sense to go to something that's going to hold up. But you put in a set of doors like that, and the ones right over on the other side of this fence that go into the office area, and you're looking at $8,000 or $9,000. And one of the reasons that we're dealing with the situation we're in right now is school funding in general has been very restricted recently, and we're doing as much as we can with our general fund, but the pressure on the general fund is causing us not to be able to spend as much on building maintenance and all that kind of thing. John, maybe you spoke to that earlier over there. I don't want to redouble what you've already done here, but Bronson Community Schools has no sinking fund millage for repairs, no debt levy right now. We've been debt-free since 2002, and quite a few years in between earlier than that. We haven't had any debt levy. And in St. Joe, Calhoun, Branch, Hillsdale counties, and so on, Jackson County, we're one of 3 districts that has no levy for maintaining, repairing, building buildings. So Baroque and Jackson Northwest are the other 2 districts along with Bronson who have no debt millage. And so, we don't think